All right, Shalom, and I would like to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Also, double honors to the elder apostles of GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutations to you other brothers that are out there teaching the word of sincerity and truth, and who are of the elect. All right, so today's topic is something I've been wanting to talk about for a little while. I just haven't sat down and did it, but I wanted to talk about fasting, the benefits of it. I mean there are health benefits to fasting, but I won't touch on this in this show. I just wanted to talk about the spiritual things you go through, and how it helps you and trains you to discipline yourself, and it kind of carries over into other things. So I always sit around and I ponder on a lot of different things, and when I'm going through different experiences, I sit around and sometimes to a fault. I sit around and I think on things and philosophize, if that's a word, on different things that I go through, and different things that other people go through, and the way people think. And I just sit around and sometimes I could lose hours just sitting around thinking about why people think the way they think and why they do the things they do, and fasting is one of those things, and it allows me to think on those types of topics a little heavier, because you're not thinking about food, you're not thinking about drinking anything, and you get into this. I always compare it to, I don't know if brothers ever seen the movie Biker Boys, but what's his name there? There's two characters. I forget the young guy's name, but Lawrence Fishburne played the guy's father. I always forget. Luke, is it Luke? I don't know what the fuck the nigga name is, but there was a scene in the movie where, as he was racing, I think it was Lawrence Fishburne's character at first, and then once the young kid found out that Lawrence Fishburne was his dad, he kind of developed the same thing, where they had this intense focus, and it kind of the all he could see was the finish line, and the scenery around the finish line kind of blurred out, and all he could see was that racetrack, and not necessarily seeing the finish line, but that same intense focus happens, man. And sometimes I'll get emotional and I'll be crying, Sometimes I get real deep in thought, and like, why is this way, and I notice that I can only reach that feeling when I go on a fast, and it's important, man. Fasting is important, and one of the things I love about what's going on in Israel today is how we're getting back to our heritage, how we're getting back to the things that we lost. You got some brothers, getting into the herbs. You got some brothers getting into the different frankincense and oils, and you got brothers, getting into the different clothing we used to wear, and headdresses and whatnot. And fasting is a part of that. Fasting is another one of those things, another one of those tools that we lost throughout these different captivities that we've endured. And it's something that I recommend that everybody do, not just on the Day of Atonement, but frequently. Matter of fact, let me go to this while I'm thinking about it. And forgive me if I ramble on. I'm gonna hit as many scriptures as I can. What is that? Matthew. Just hit 9. Oops, 9. This is Matthew 9:14. It says, "Then came to him the disciples of John, saying, Why do we and the Pharisees fast oft, but thy disciples fast not? And Yahushua said unto them, Can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then shall they fast." You see? So now that the Lord Yahushua is not here, and I could be, I'm speculating when I say this, but and it's only because I have an idea of what fasting is, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's on my mind. That the Lord, when the Lord Yahushua was here with us, there was an external discipline that happened, right? And when you have an external source of discipline where you have somebody there to always check you, it's easier to remember certain things because there's an accountability that's had that person puts on you, right? But when that external discipline goes away, you will be lenient on yourself, right? And with that, you have to find a source of practice in that discipline because that external discipline is gone, and you have to learn how to now discipline yourself internally. And I'm a firm believer that fasting is a strong tool for that, man. Fasting is a strong tool for that because what you're doing is this is your body's, your hunger and thirst is your body's first experience in a fleshly desire, and not a fleshly desire like sex or things like that, but a fleshly desire in that you it's something that you need this thing to sustain yourself, right? And by you fasting, you're telling your body's first desire, its first wish, to you kind of turn it off, and you afflict yourself in that way. And that helps you to discipline yourself in ways you couldn't imagine, man. And it carries over into other things. And I experienced the same type of mind frame when the Sabbath is around. The Sabbath comes around once a week, and a lot of times I'll fast on the Sabbath, or maybe I'll fast like the day before and on the Sabbath. Just to and pray that the Lord increases my discipline. And back to the point I was trying to make about the Sabbath. When the Sabbath is over, or when your fast is over, your mind is still in that intense focus, because you can only do a certain thing on the Sabbath. You can't cook on the Sabbath. You can't you shouldn't be having sex with your woman on the Sabbath, watching sporting events, things that you enjoy on the Sabbath. So it takes a certain amount of focus to be able to remember those things, especially in this world that we live in, because the world that we live in is set up in a way that it's easy to go off, so you have to have this intense focus, and it carries over. And the day or two after the Sabbath, you still like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be watching this, or oh shit, I'm not supposed to be doing this, and that focus is that's discipline, man. That's discipline. You've disciplined yourself for this 24 hours, this 48 hours, to not do something, and it carries over. And I noticed the longer I'm in the truth, and I don't say this to brag, but I noticed the longer that I've been in the truth, the longer that heightened mindset, that intense focus endures. It lasts longer and longer and longer. So now, let's say the Sabbath has been it's fallen on us I think Saturday this month, right? So let's say Sunday you still focus, Monday you still focus, and then Tuesday it starts to wear off, Wednesday it starts to wear off. You start watching your basketball, you start watching football. You might of course you're gonna fool around with your woman if you have one, right? And then by the time it comes, like Friday comes, just you back to being weak again. And then the Sabbath comes again, and it kind of refreshes you to get back to that. But I notice now that you know, that heightened sense of making sure I'm doing the right things lasts, you know, longer and longer. And that's just, you know, my own personal testimony. I feel like I'm rambling, but, you know, fasting is important to be able to, you know, discipline yourself. It carries over into doing shows, right? Because you know, sometimes you get complacent. You don't want to do a show, and with that practice, you say, you know what? Nah, just do it. Let's just do it and get through it and put it out. And that way, you know, you can then relax after that. You know, but you don't want to relax until, you know, the work is done. But fasting, you know, in that learning that internal discipline helps you, you know, do those types of things. You know, so I feel like I rambled long enough. I want to hit some of these scriptures that touches on what I'm talking about. You know what? I should have opened the Apocrypha on here before I opened the screen recorder. But I wanted to talk about a couple different things. One, fasting. You can cure disease with fasting. There's record of in the scriptures of diseases being cured by people fasting, right? Also, when you're praying and you're asking the Lord to reveal something to you, you can fast and then it comes to you, you know, and you have, along with the fasting, right? You got to believe that that's true, you know. So there's faith that's in there too. But I wanted to read a couple of scriptural examples of this thing of fasting. Okay, so you got the first one I'm gonna read is the one about somebody being healed, right? So in this story, as I look for it, I think it's okay. As I look for it in this story, you had I believe it was a man who's he had a son who they called a lunatic, but I looked up that word. I think it was. Let me just read it, and then I'll stop and then talk about it a little bit more. So this is Matthew 17:14. It says, "And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying," right, it was a man, okay, "Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic, and sore vexed, for oft times he falleth into the fire, and oft time into the water." So I looked up this word lunatic, right, and it's a disease. I'm gonna Google it too so you can see it. Lunatic right here. Just play the word really quick.
Strong's G 4583, seleniadzamai. Seleniadzamai.
Right? And what it is epilepsy. You see this? Right here, epilepsy, right? So what happens during epilepsy, right? It's they call it like an overreaction of your cells. And what happens is you get these seizures. And it makes sense because what did he say? What did it say in the scripture? That his son oftentimes fell in the fire, right? Let me make sure I got that right. It says, yeah, for oft times he falleth into the fire and oft into the water. So you know, when you get them seizures, your body goes through these convulsions and you can't control yourself, right? So he would fall into the fire, and that's why I said it makes sense, because when you go through those convulsions, you can't control yourself. Matter of fact, my youngest brother, when my grandmother adopted him, he used to get seizures real bad, and his body would just be, he was almost like like a vibrating thing, it's just, like them vibrating mattresses. His body would just be shaking, and I mean like intensely, man. It was insane, right? And part of that was because his mother, his biological mother was on drugs when she was pregnant with the dude. So that he was going through withdrawals, and he would get these crazy seizures, and he still to this day gets like mild things that happen to him. Like if he sees like an open flame, he starts going crazy. So it still happens to him. But I wanted to Google it really quick. I don't even know how to spell that. I think that's right. right? So epilepsy, a neurological disorder marked by sudden recurrent episodes of sensory disturbance, loss of consciousness, or convulsions associated with abnormal electrical activity in the brain, right? So this kind of touches on kind of like the health benefits, right? Because when you fast, you like your body is almost it resets itself, you know, because when you constantly eating and you got all these toxins in your blood and in your liver and so forth and so on, it throws off it throws your body off, and it makes it imbalance. And this is you know, a symptom of, you know, toxicity in the body, right? So fasting kind of clears that up, right, and resets your immune system, right? So like I said, I didn't want to go too much into the health part of it, but I'll keep reading here. It says, and I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Yahushua answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? Right? He was like, look, I ain't gonna be with you forever. You better you better learn how to do this stuff, you know. You better start believing him that you can do these things, you know. How long shall I suffer you? Right? Bring him hither to me. And Yahushua rebuked the devil and departed out of him, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour, right? But check this out, right? He says, then came the disciples to Yahushua apart and said, why could not we cast him out? And Yahushua said unto them, because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible to you. Howbeit, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. You see, so you can cure yourself of an intense disease like epilepsy by fasting and praying to the Lord. You know, so that's one aspect of it, right? So another one I wanted to touch on was in Acts, right? Because a lot of also another part of fasting is when you want the Lord to reveal something to you. And when you read in the scriptures, I got two examples of, you know, a man being on a fast and kind of going into this deep thought and deep well, on one hand it was a deep thought with Ezra's, but on this hand in Acts, what I'm about to read now, he actually fell into a trance, you know. And the Lord gave him this dream, and he kind of this dream was kind of like the opening to the Israelite foreigners coming back in, you know. So this great mystery that they had been pondering on for hundreds of years was revealed to a man by his, you know, fasting. And not only did Peter fast and fall into a trance, but Cornelius fasted. I mean, yeah, I'll read both of them. They're in the same chapter. Acts, I think I want to say 10 and 9. Oh no. Acts 10 and 9. It says, on the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour, and he became very hungry. Right? So it doesn't say that he fasted, but, you know, in reading it spiritually, he became very hungry because he had been fasting, right? And it says here, and he would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance, you see? And he saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners, and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice unto him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, what the Most High hath cleansed, that call not thou common. This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. Now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate. So this great dream was given to Peter, right? And at first he didn't know what it meant, but then he started to understand that that was talking about the Israelite foreigners coming back in, you see. So now let me read this one. It's a little further down in the 30th verse. It says here, Cornelius said, 4 days ago, I was fasting until this hour. And at the 9th hour I prayed in my house, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing, and said, Cornelius, thy prayer is heard, and thy alms are had in remembrance in the sight of the Most High. You see? So that why was his prayers heard? Because he was afflicting his spirit, you see, or afflicting his soul by fasting, you know. So these things, you know, this opened up a whole new chapter to what was going on by the Israelite foreigners coming in, by men fasting and praying, you see. So if you want the Lord to reveal something to you, or you're trying to make a decision on something, you fast, you pray, and the Lord will give it to you, man. Listen. I'm not bragging when I say this. The Most High is my witness. This happens, man. This happens when you fast. Things happen, man. Things happen, and you get into these immense thoughts, and it's almost, you can't. I can't explain the feeling you get. It's almost like you're not. It's an outer body experience almost. Not you're cognizant of being awake. You're awake, but the thoughts that you have, and you know, me personally, when I get on a fast, I get so apologetic, and I'm just praying, you know, asking the Lord to forgive me, you know, asking him to build my faith, you know, asking him to allow me to keep fighting and keep teaching. You know, you get deep, man. You get deep, and I recommended it for those brothers who may be you know, just coming in, even, or maybe you know, having a little doubtful feeling, man. Listen, go on a fast, you know, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, however long, you know, the Spirit leads you into doing the fast, and things happen, man. Things happen, and you'll grow from it, man. So I wanted to go to this other one. I should have opened it up. Let's see if I got it in my favorites here. Yep. It's I think it's 2nd Ezra. Let's go down here. 2nd Ezra 6 and 30. Okay, this is 2nd Ezra 6 and 30. I think it's 6 and 30. Okay, 2nd Ezra 6 and 30. I'll start at 29. It says here, and when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words said he unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more, and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the mighty have seen thy righteous dealing, ye have seen also thy chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth. You see, so before, you know, the angel revealed something to him, what did he tell him to do? To go on a fast. You see? So if you struggling maybe with a scripture that you don't understand, and, you know, like, let's say, you know, the elder apostles break something down a certain way, and you don't understand it necessarily right away, don't mean it's not true. It just means that, you know, you might have to go through an extra step to get the understanding on it, and that extra step may be fasting. It might not be a fast, but, you know, maybe it's just, you know, a timing thing. The Lord ain't ready for you to get it yet, but, you know, go on that fast, man. And then if it doesn't get revealed to you that at that time, you know, you be patient, you wait for it. You know, you be patient and you wait for it. And this happened to Ezra a couple different times. He was fasting, and he was, you know, not bugging out in like a bad sense, but he was, you know, a lot of shit was happening to him. And I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna keep reading. But when he started fasting, he got deep in the spirit. So let me keep reading. It says, if thou wilt pray yet more and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the mighty have seen thy righteous dealing. He have seen also thy chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth. And therefore hath he sent me to show thee all these things, and to say unto thee, be of good comfort, and fear not. And hasten not with the times that are past to think vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the latter times. Okay. It says, and it came to pass after this, that I wept again, and fasted 7 days in like manner, that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he had told me. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed with me again, and I began to speak before the Most High. For my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress. And I'm telling you, man, this happens to you when you get into that. Like, now, granted, I've never gone on like a dry fast for like long periods of time. The longest I've ever gone was 3 days. But when you do this, man, you you get to crying, man. You get to asking questions, and you get to praying, and it gets heavy, and you can't. There's no comparison to it. You can't get this feeling without fasting. You get deep, man. I mean, let me say this: I don't get into that deep feeling unless I fast. That remorseful feeling, and though you get these you get saddened because you feel so remorseful, but I feel like those are the times where I'm at my best, when I'm in mourning. I can't. There's a scripture that said, I think it's for better is it to mourn than to be in cheer, or I forget exactly how the scripture goes, but if you could put it on the comment board for me, or I'll find it by then, Lord's will. But when I'm fasting, man, those are the I feel like I'm at my best, when I'm most focused, when I'm being most spiritual. It says, and I said, O Lord, thou spakest from the beginning of the creation, even the first day, and saidest thus, let the heaven and the earth be made, and thy word was made perfect. So he's going into the creation. He's thinking about what the Lord, how the Lord did it, and he spoke it and it happened. He's getting deep, man. And I'm not, for sake of time, I won't get into this whole thing that he started talking about. But he got deep into his thoughts, man. And that's the way that's what fasting does to you. And the same thing with in another part, I think it's 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. The Lord told him, or don't fast this time, but eat only flowers. Don't eat meat, and don't drink any wine. And he was just only eating the herbs and flowers of the field, right? And he got even deep. And then he started seeing things. There was one scene where he saw a woman, and the woman was crying, and she was sad because she had lost her son. And then the woman, cried loud, and her eyes lit up, and she turned into light, and then the light turned into a city. Like, he got deep, man, just from all those fasts that he went on, and the Lord started revealing certain things to him, And I recommend it. If you looking to get deeper in the spirit, if you're looking to understand certain things, and if you just learn, if you want to try to learn to discipline yourself, I recommend it, man. So I hope that was edifying. I went longer than I anticipated. Forgive me if I was rambling. I just wanted to give my personal experiences with it. But hopefully it was edifying, and hopefully you can learn from it. So I want to, as I close, want to give all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles at GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the elect. And with that, I say shalom.